Good morning, everyone. This is the time and place for the Planning Hearing Officer hearings for Wednesday, June 29th, 2011. My name is Kristen Asp, and I will be conducting the hearing as Planning Hearing Officer. We have one case on the agenda today, and all exhibits are posted on the panels directly behind me. It is an application for a variance, and under the provisions of Title 30, Chapter 3043 of the Glendale Municipal Code, a variance shall be granted if four required findings are present. Number one, that the strict application of the ordinance would result in practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship inconsistent with the general purposes and intent of the ordinance. Number two, that there are exceptional circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved or to the intended use or development of the property that do not apply generally to other property in the same zone or neighborhood. Number three, that the granting of the variance will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in such zone or neighborhood in which the property is located. And four, that the granting of the variance will not be contrary to the objectives of the ordinance. If the evidence provided or presented in the application and at the hearing meets the criteria just described, then the hearing officer, myself, can either approve or impose conditions for approval on the case in question. If the findings of fact are not evident, then the request will be denied. As far as public notice for this hearing, notification was accomplished by the use of public notices which were mailed to property owners located within 500 feet of the subject property, physically posted on the site in question, and placed in the local newspaper, in addition to on the city's website. As far as procedures for the hearing, I'll read the description of the application. I'll read any reports received from other departments or any other communication from interested parties. I will ask the case planner to make a brief overview of the case and make a recommendation. Then I'll ask the applicant to come forward, stating both name and address, and you'll be asked to present the case within 15 minutes. Others in support or opposition will then be invited up, and they have a 3-minute time limit. And then lastly, I will give the applicant another opportunity to make any closing comments with a 5-minute time limit. As far as the decision, after the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who responded to the public notice. The date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter, not necessarily the date of this hearing. Appeals. Under the appeal provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30.62, the decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. And notice of appeal can be filed with the Building and Safety Division located here in this building on this floor in our Permit Services Center, room 101 of this building. Speaker cards, if you wish to speak and you haven't already filled one out, please write your name and address on one of the speaker cards at the front door. Also would like to inform everyone that the official proceedings of the Planning Hearing Officer's hearings are recorded on tape as part of public record. Okay, moving on to the actual hearing. This is case number VAR 2011-006. It is for 4815 Cloudsdale Avenue. The description of the application is for a standards variance to allow the construction of a 252 square foot first floor addition and a new 460 square foot second story addition without providing a minimum 5-foot interior setback on the first floor. It's located in the R1 low density residential zone, lot 12, tract 13310. As far as comments from other departments, we just have some general comments from engineering related to Drainage. These look like pretty standard construction comments. Same kinds of conditions from building and safety, that all necessary permits would need to be pulled. That appears to be it in terms of additional comments from other departments. And now I'm going to ask Mr. Reza if he would do a brief overview and go from there.
Yes, Ms. Ask, good morning.
Good morning.
The site is 5,000 square feet, and with an existing 1,280 square foot single-story dwelling unit that was built in 1947. There is a two-car garage located at the back of the lot, which takes access from Cloudsdale Avenue. The total habitable square footage will be 1,992 square feet. In 1957, a new family room was constructed within 3 feet of the existing garage. By definition of the zoning code, the planning division considers this to be attached to the residence. On to the analysis of the proposal. This variance request is the minimum necessary to achieve what the owner intends to reasonably do with the property without hardship of demolishing or reconstructing portions of the existing single-family dwelling. The new first and second story addition will meet the required 5-foot setback and will not exceed the overall height allowed by the zoning code. To deny this request would unduly restrict the flexibility and reasonable use and modest improvement of the property. The proposal is not anticipated to infringe on privacy issues within the neighboring property or within the neighboring area, properties neighboring the property. The property was originally developed with a single-family house, and the owner intends to add a new and first and second story addition is not unreasonable and should not create any future impacts. Maintenance of the original interior setback along the sides of the property will not conflict with the adjacent uses or adversely affect them. Finally, no other variance request is required as a result of this project. As proposed, the project will not create additional zoning code violations as it relates to parking, height, lot coverage, floor area ratio, or landscaping. Staff recommends approval with this project with 4 conditions. Condition number 1, that the development will be in substantial accordance with the plan submitted of this application. Condition number 2, that all permits be pulled necessary, i.e. building, fire, engineering, etc. Condition number 3, that the property shall be kept in good condition at all times, free of weeds, trash, and landscaping areas be maintained with live plants. And condition number 4, that the window violation noted by Neighborhood Services be resolved as a part of the Design Review Board application. That concludes staff presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. I don't have any at this time for staff. I'd like to call on the applicant to come up and summarize what's going on.
Good morning. My name is Martin Finland. I'm the architect on the project for the addition. And in summarizing our intent, I just wanted to focus on the 4 points of the findings, which is, from our view, justifying the work that we want to do here. And the first one is how will the strict application of the provisions of any such ordinance result in practical difficulties or unnecessary hardships inconsistent with the general purpose or intent of the ordinance. And simply put, the proposed new work would require tearing down substantial portions of the existing house and garage. And we feel that in just simply maintaining what's there, we want to add on in conformance with the new codes so that the new work does not create any more non-conforming issues, and all we're just trying to do is just simply maintain what's always been there, so we don't have to add additional cost and burden to a fairly modest addition. So So, in summary, just the work that is new is conforming, and the work that we want to maintain that's non-conforming, we don't want to have to tear down. And the second point is what exceptional circumstances or conditions apply to the property involved or to the intended use of, or development of the property that do not generally apply to the other property in the same neighborhood. Essentially, here we're just finding that the house and the garage, when it was built, and the addition, when it was built first in 1947 and then in 1957 for the addition, they were in complete conformance with the current codes. So there's an exception here, just an exceptional condition where the work that was done was conforming at the time in complete conformance with the current codes. And as time has passed and codes always become more restrictive, the work is not conforming anymore. So, and this has to do with La Crescenta, I think, was unincorporated at the time, and the codes were slightly different, and then Glendale incorporated it at a certain point, and the current building codes applied. So, I guess in summary, that everything that was built was conforming and legally permitted at the time it was built. So the next point is, why will granting the variance not be detrimental to public welfare? We feel that it won't be detrimental at all because the variance is not proposing any new non-conforming work. So the addition is completely in conformance with density, area, setbacks, heights, and open space requirements. So again, we're just simply proposing keeping these two non-conforming setbacks on the existing house. And the existing house we're not touching. We're just leaving and then adding on to it. Well, we're obviously touching it, but the new part we're adding on again is conforming. So we don't feel that it'll be detrimental because we're not simply putting any more new non-conforming conditions in addition to the ones that had been non-conforming in the past. And then the last point, why will granting the variance be in keeping with the objectives of the ordinance? Again, because simply put, we're in compliance with all of the current zoning and building codes with the new work that we're proposing.
Thank you. I have a few questions for you. Could you maybe talk a little bit about how you came about with this configuration, or did you consider any other alternatives to try and either make it, less of a application for a variance, or what other site designs did you consider before sort of finalizing on this one?
Yeah, well, we essentially we considered what is the area of the site that we could, I guess, comfortably and legally cover. And once we looked at that, given the open space requirements, it really didn't leave a lot of variations because the square footage that we're adding on the back, we just wanted to square off the building so as to maintain the yard in the back. But there just weren't many other options because we added the amount that we were allowed because they just need a certain amount of square footage for the house to be livable with them and their family. So in doing that, we couldn't figure out another way to make the new work conform. So essentially the footprint with that sort of L shape left over in that corner was really the only place we had an option. Beyond that, there's a small yard with a mature maple, and we didn't want to get close to the drip line of that. And it's a mature maple, so we in considering other alternatives, I guess the point was there just really weren't any. If we wanted to stay within the setbacks and not intrude into the backyard.
How many bedrooms does the house currently have?
The house currently has 2 bedrooms, is that correct?
3 bedrooms,
or, I'm sorry,
1 bath.
3 bedrooms, 1 bath. And then we want to add 2 bedrooms. And that is because they have, there's 4 people living there, them and their 2 children, and they're having a niece come live with them.
And did you consider just a single-story addition as opposed to 2 stories?
Yeah, we did, but it just didn't give the square footage necessary that they needed. So in doing the work, essentially, they needed to meet this additional 2-bedroom requirement, and given the small amount of square footage on the ground floor that we could add into, it just didn't lend itself to enough square footage to justify the work. So the key point was they needed this a certain amount of square footage to make the house livable for the current family. And if it wasn't a 2-story addition, it wouldn't have been enough to maintain to be livable, and it would have been a matter of looking or moving somewhere else instead of.
Okay, so it's the desire to add 2 bedrooms, not
Yeah.
a requirement.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
It's not just the bedroom, it's also the bath.
I'll get you in just a second. Can you talk a little bit about if you're doing the second-story addition, and you're setting back from the existing garage, you're making an additional setback from the garage for the second-story addition?
Yes.
And I guess I'm wondering what, I guess from the technical side of things, what kind of work are you going to have to do to that existing first floor? You're going to rip off the roof, you're going to have to modify some of the walls, are you going to have to touch that chimney that I know is in the corner of that room when doing the second floor?
All of those things. It's going to be a tricky, almost surgical procedure adding onto it.
Okay.
The new setback, it's going to set back from the back wall line, so there'll be a sort of a transfer beam that will have to be grafted into the new ceiling. But what will happen is all the other walls will stack directly onto the stud walls of the existing house, so it will be a matter of just as minimal as possible tearing the walls open so that we can thread in the new structural tie downs and things like that. But aside from tearing off the roof, because obviously it needs to come off because it's a pitched roof and the second floor will be level. Aside from that, we're going to just maintain as much as we can, and only tearing out portions of the walls that are there. And then and we'll have to underpin a couple of areas of the foundation so that it can support the loads from above. But we're just going to try to keep everything intact, especially the chimney, which we will just maintain it. And then as the new addition goes up, we can just continue the flue up against the new addition. So the basic idea is just keeping everything as possible intact.
Okay, so you don't anticipate at this point having that move or having that get disturbed during the construction of the second floor?
No, and again, it's easy to state that as an intent, but the contractors in the field, they're going to be the ones to make sure that this is kind of shored up and secured, because it will be a bit of a surgical procedure, but we anticipate maintaining everything as possible, especially the chimney. It's an old brick chimney, and it's a massive chimney. The thing is enormous, so we're just going to kind of work around it and leave it there.
Because I guess where I'm going with this, or going with this line of questioning, is did you consider then, because if you're proposing to add a second floor, and if there is, you're doing enough stuff to begin with to, rip off the roof and add the second story, did you consider taking off this additional few feet from the existing first floor to then make your distance or separation from the garage then become conforming? You would eliminate a variance situation on this, I believe it's the north side then of the property.
Yeah, right.
Did you give that any consideration?
Yeah, the owners expressed their intent to maintain the fireplace. They, aside from just the nice effect of having a fireplace is kind of the focal point of the house. They wanted to maintain it, and I thought from a feasibility standpoint, removing it would be a sort of a hardship in itself, just because, again, the thing is, it's an enormous brick fireplace. It's like a 5 foot by 5 foot structure, and we just wanted to, and just, again, just kind of try to keep that if we could, because, again, it's there, and we're just kind of trying to leave what's there in place. Part of it is just for the sake of feasibility, because they have a limited budget that they're working with to achieve the square footage that they need to make it livable.
Okay. And then for your, I guess, southerly property line setback, you're providing the full 5 feet.
Yeah, on the new part, yeah.
On the new part, yeah. Okay. Okay. That's all the questions I have at the moment. Did you fill out a speaker card?
Actually, I didn't.
You did?
I didn't.
Can do that while
Okay,
I
sorry.
sort of move on to the next set of speaker cards. Is there any particular order that you want to go?
I'm not the presenter, so I assume he'll last.
Oh, I have 2 speaker cards, so he was the presenter.
I'm the guy?
Well, there's either, I have Brian and Kevin, so I'm
I'll talk next if you
okay.
Okay. I can do this. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Kevin Wilby. I live just south of the property we're talking about. I'm at 4811 Cloudsdale, which is immediately to the south. And I'm a neighbor. I represent myself, and I guess the neighborhood, and I guess the entire city of Glendale, yet this, since I'm the only one here. But, okay, what did I have to say? First of all, we're talking about a 5,000 square foot lot here, which is identical to mine, which is about as small as you'll find in La Crescenta, except in Whiting Woods, and probably in all of Glendale. So when you're dealing with a 40% requirement for 2,000 square foot footprint, or you have to go up to get 2,000 square feet of floor space, and as somebody with 2 daughters who have grown up, I've been in my house for 26 years now, and believe you me, you need more room for a family. The whole point, of course, of this meeting is that the codes are designed to keep everything safe and accessible and architecturally sound, and keep the quality of life up in Glendale. And so, and the intent, of course, as you pointed out, is to be reasonable. And so I'm here to say, as the neighbor to the south, that to require any changes to the existing structure to the south would be kind of unreasonable. Wouldn't bother me in the least if they built anything they wanted to, but as soon as, since there's like between, well, there's actually 11 or 13 feet, I think, between our houses, but 11 of that is mine and 2 is theirs. Maybe it's 3 feet, I don't know, is theirs. But to rip down their house to change it would not only be an obvious burden, but would be a big mess to me. But to just leave it the way it is, then it's fine. You're just building something, and it seems much more reasonable. I know you've been talking about detached garages. I know that's changed over time, because in 1957 it was a detached garage, and in 1987, I think, when I got a permit, it was also a detached garage, but now it isn't, because you need 5 feet overhang to overhang. So I know things change, and on this little lot, to get something that people can live in and have a family in, which, of course, is the whole point of our neighborhood, to make it a place you want to be in, that this is a reasonable solution to it, it seems to me. And the last thing, we have a real architect and everything, which in this day and age of everything being, the same, every fourth house being the same and being thrown up in tracts, that's one of the beauties of La Crescenta, is the fact that the houses, even though they started out the same in a lot of cases, are architecturally different. And so this would be a big boost to the neighborhood, to the quality of it.
Thank you.
Is that me?
That's you.
Okay, thanks.
So you're in favor. You're in support.
Oh, yeah, I'm in
All right.
favor,
Just
definitely.
just to recap. And the last speaker card I have is Kevin Wilby.
That was Kevin Wilby.
Oh my gosh, why am I confusing this? I'm prepared to have Brian Stiles, please.
I'm the owner of the house in question. I just wanted to clarify why we wanted to expand. One of it is a small house. It's been a very small house for us, living in there with 4 people. We have a teenage son and a 9-year-old daughter, and the 2 of us. Obviously, we've been sharing one bathroom now since 2003. We have a teenage niece who's come live with us. We don't want to continue to share one bathroom, obviously. Also, we would like her to have a bedroom of her own so she doesn't have to share one with our daughter. Our daughter is a lovely person, but she can be annoying to a 16-year-old girl who is new here anyway and wants to be able to live her own life. So essentially what we're planning on doing is adding, I believe, just 1 extra bedroom rather than 2. The plan is to be a 4-bedroom, right? But the current size bedrooms that we have are really small. My daughter's, I think, is like 10 feet by 10 feet or something like that. So we wanted to internally sort of expand some of the bedrooms. And in doing that, we had to have this much square footage added in order to be able to get the extra bath and 2 extra bedrooms and to have the bedrooms themselves. Just essentially what it is that when they put 3 bedrooms in our house to start out with, they were really trying a little too hard to get extra bedrooms in there. They're pretty small. The master bedroom wouldn't be considered a master bedroom in any other house that I've looked at. So we want to expand the master bedroom, get rid of one of the smallest bedroom, make it part of the living room, and then we'll be able to, by having the extension, we'll still have 4 bedrooms total, which is what we need with just the people that we're going to have in the house.
Okay. Could you talk a little bit about the family room and the fireplace in that corner? It's a pretty big fireplace.
Been there since '57. It's like you say, it's a large fireplace. We're also it's when you look at the plans, if you tried to scoot that room back in some way in order to just change the distance between it and the garage, you'd wind up with some kind of funky corner shape to the side of the building that would look strange. I don't know, the architect hasn't told me how much it would cost to remove the whole fireplace, but I'm imagining that would be a large contributor to our cost if we did that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And if the architect Martin, if you'd like to come back up and have any other closing comments or...
Yeah, in closing, just to reiterate, we are really, it was important for everything that's new to be conforming, and I think it's a sort of a modest request to simply maintain the house that's there, and it's important to me, aside from the budgetary issues, and it's important to me as an architect from a sustainability standpoint, because I'm coming to terms with the fact that our industry contributes buildings contribute like 40% of energy consumption in the world, and as an architect, the profession and myself is realizing that we have a debt to society to act professionally and sustainably, and part of that is designing buildings that are energy efficient, and a big part is recycling and reusing and maintaining whatever you can. So the simple fact of maintaining it there is you don't have to tear down a bunch of work and a bunch of bricks from a fireplace and put it in a landfill when we can just hopefully just keep it in place and just maintain a small bit of sustainability that way. So that's it.
I guess I have one more question as I glance at the site plan again. I see that there's a garage detail here, that it has the full sort of turning radius so that you can get in and out of the garage, despite how close the 1957 addition is to the garage. And I just want to confirm that you can pull a car in there.
Yeah.
2 cars in there. I mean, the garage door opens and You can drive in there?
Yeah, it's tight, but they did it. They scooched the garage door over to the right, even though
I can
the
see
garage,
that.
the garage passes. It's hard to believe how tight it is, but the way they pushed the garage door all the way to the right, that the clearance actually is met within like a half an inch. So it does work. It's tight, but it meets actually the current code, and you can use it on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. Okay. That was just my last little side note. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And I don't think I have any other questions for staff or the applicant, so I will close the hearing and take this under submission. Thank you all for coming.
I know the sky, I know the rain, I know the feeling when I call your name. I know the stars up in the sky, I know the feeling when I look in your eyes. Yeah. Oh. That feeling. Oh, yeah.
If you have a comment or question regarding Channel 6 programming, call us at 818-548-4013.